Single-player games are some of the best adventures, because these are the titles where you can get completely lost in and experience something totally magical. That's why I've created a list of the 20 best games that you will be obsessed with after the first hour. Cyberpunk in 2025 is like that one friend who finally got their life together. New haircut, gym body, no more crashing at 3 a.m. The bugs are history, well, at least most of them. And now it runs smoother than Keanu's motorcycle in Night City. The open world feels alive, like GTA took a semester abroad in Tokyo and came back fluent in AI. People are everywhere, tech is in your face, and the sound design is just wild. Like you can hear everything from the hum of a neon sign to the distant sirens as you're walking down the street. Even before the release, most of us were excited because it was the first time we saw such a huge level of sci-fi open-world game. Sure, the start was a bit rocky, but in 2025, we can really see what the developers wanted to give us. The game feels completely patched, and there's even a DLC. If you guys ask me, then this is the game you should play if you love the general idea of exploring a futuristic open world combined with some of the wildest gameplay and customizations. Honestly, Cyberpunk is one of those games that you can sink hundreds of hours into and still find new things. I believe that if any newcomer decides to play the game, now will surely have an amazing blast. Sifu is what happens when you mix John Wick's rage, Kung Fu Hustle's flair, and Dark Souls' patience-testing boss fights. You play as a nameless martial artist on a revenge rampage, and the twist is that every time you die, you age. And this is not just a gimmick, the game makes sure to reward you every time you die. Your attack power increases while your health reduces. What's important is that you must master the skills so you can cheese the game at 20 years old and even as an old grandpa. Every punch, parry, and palm strike feels like it was handcrafted by a Shaolin monk and an Unreal Engine wizard. The combat is the main charm of the game. It doesn't get overwhelmed. You feel like you are in total control of everything. There are a lot of cool skills and martial arts moves that you can unlock, which keeps the gameplay engaging. Along with this, there are also weapons scattered throughout the areas such as knives, wooden sticks, machete, and so much more. And another best thing are the environmental kills. Sifu is hands down one of the best engaging games that revolves around combat and progression. Sure, for some players it might get boring, but it's still an awesome game for those who are willing to spend time on learning and getting better.
Drop your weapon! Not so tough, eh?
Control isn't just a game, it's what would happen if the X-Files and Inception had a weird psychic baby. You play as a female character with telekinetic powers and the emotional range of someone who just found out she's the director of a building that keeps shifting like it's powered by IKEA nightmares. You're throwing desks at flying enemies like you're the angry office worker of the year, and it feels so good. The combat is one of the 3 big charms of the game. You have got a mix of shooting and telekinetic stuff. And the good thing is that it all feels flashy. Speaking of the other 2 charms, the first is the weird storyline or the lore. What's good is that you don't have all the pieces at the start, but rather you find out all the pieces of information as you move forward and explore which sort of keeps the engagement going. Finally, the third charm of the game is the world around you. Even though the game is more of a thrilling experience, the world around you makes you feel like you're in some kind of ever-changing fantasy area with some horror elements. The first 2 installments of the Tomb Raider are the finest parts of the reboot series. Each game is at the pinnacle of all the gaming aspects. The first one sets the story and gives us our favorite Lara Croft back, but with more upgrades and a whole makeover. You have got all the traditional stuff at your disposal, such as the exploration, crafting stuff, survival and stealth elements, and the good old storyline. Even if you have never played any Tomb Raider games before, you're still going to love this one. Speaking of Rise, this one is where everything is cranked up to 11. Just take what made the first game amazing and put it into a whole factory of upgrades and enhancements. The stakes are much higher this time around, the story feels more personal, the combat is enhanced, and don't even get me started on the graphics and visuals. Rise of Tomb Raider is one of my favorite parts from the series.
The fast Sun Queen. This is Yamatai.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is like your childhood nightmare, but in 4K with a faster reload animation. Leon is back and still rocking that perfect hair under extreme stress. More action-heavy than its original 2005 counterpart, This version dials everything up to 11. Smarter AI, snappier combat, and a shotgun blast that feels like a mic drop. Honestly, we all know that the fourth part got a lot more recognition because this was the time when the developers focused more on the action part rather than the same old survival and sneaking mechanics. And it worked out splendidly. Players loved a more action-focused Resident Evil. If you ask me, then you should definitely play the second part before diving into this one, as I believe that way you can get an idea on the main Resident Evil perspective before diving into action-focused adventure. Sure as hell, you're gonna have a great time playing this one, as the choice of weapons is immense, Ashley is more bearable, and the mechanics or controls are top-notch.
Get ready.
Pop Lost Crown isn't just a comeback, it's a full-blown parkour-fueled resurrection with a Metroidvania twist. The moment you dash slide through a crumbling temple only to rewind time and wall jump back up, it's chef's kiss. Gone is the 3D desert drama. In comes a slick, side-scrolling world that feels like Prince meets Hollow Knight in an ancient Persian fever dream. Exploration is the name of the game. To this day, I'm still a bit shocked how the game at the start felt like a simple exploration adventure, but towards the end, when you open the map and see all the unlocked areas, you can't help but admire how such level of game gave us immense content. The game felt like pure catacombs with new areas, new enemies, new power-ups, and new boss battles. Unlocking a new power, testing it on a mini-boss, and suddenly feeling like an immortal time-warping ninja. Speaking of combat, I'm sure you're gonna love it because just like the OG Prince of Persia, here you have more freedom in your attacks, skills, weapons, powers. Metroidvania gives you complete control over your actions. Sunset Overdrive is what happens when a comic book chugs 3 energy drinks and jumps through a flaming guitar solo. It's fast, it's loud, and it breaks the fourth wall more than Deadpool on a caffeine bender. You're grinding on rails, bouncing off cars, blasting mutant energy drink zombies in slow-mo. It's like Tony Hawk's had a baby with Borderlands and raised it on sarcasm and punk rock. Sunset Overdrive is one of those games that you can play after a long, hard day at work. There's no complex storyline or a tough Souls-level boss, but rather it's all about you as a player having the best time of your life playing the game. The combat, the fast-paced movement, and the occasional humor or fourth wall moments keeps the gameplay engaging. One of the best things is how everything in the game is super complementing to each other. Nothing is going to out of place, and you will wonder how the devs managed to create something so smooth and action-packed.
Who is this hero? Me! Not me? Oh, you!
Dead Space Remake hits like a horror triple threat. Imagine Predator, Alien, and The Thing all rolled into one nightmarish space opera. Right from the start, you can tell that the developers took everything that made the original great and dialed it up to 11. The graphics are insane. Every corridor on the USG feels more claustrophobic and terrifying than before. As for gameplay, it's still that perfect mix of tension and action. They've kept the core mechanics intact but added some new features that make it feel modern. Plus, the combat has this satisfying crunch to it. Limb dismemberment is just as strategic as ever, but now it's even more gruesome with updated visuals. Dead Space isn't just a game, it's a masterclass in tension and terror, and the remake makes it feel brand new while keeping all the nightmare fuel intact.
Up there!
Spider-Man 2 swings back into action, and it's like they took everything awesome from the 2018 reboot and turned the dial up to 11. Miles Morales is back, bringing that fresh energy and those cool new powers that make you feel like a legit superhero. And then there's Venom, because what's a Spidey game without a bit of symbiote chaos? Speaking of symbiote, the powers here are no joke. You will be amazed by how cool everything looks when you hit a punch or use your flashy powers. However, the biggest advantage of this sequel is that this time we have all 3 major characters in one game. We have got Peter, Miles, and even Venom. This, in my opinion, is the supreme feature of the game. Moving on, the story, the characters, and the open world is so much better. Honestly, I was one of those guys who loved 2018 and thought nothing could top this one, but the sequel flipped the tables. It truly is one of the finest Spider-Man experiences ever.
Local network should be online. Let me notify the app users. Reports should start coming in any minute now.
Metal Gear Rising is like the caffeine jolt every gamer needs. Fast-paced, brutal, and stylish all at once. Playing as the robotic ninja with a katana sharper than your Monday morning wit, you dive headfirst into waves of enemies that feel like they're auditioning for a ninja flash mob. The combat is insanely satisfying, slicing right, left, and sprinting through chaos like you're in a samurai-themed action movie directed by Michael Bay. And those cinematic cutscenes are pure eye candy, with graphics so slick they almost distract you from the non-stop carnage. I'll never forget the epic showdown with Senator Armstrong. That guy's biceps could crush mountains, and his speeches are almost as intense as the boss fight itself. Honestly, the gameplay gets under your skin. Once you pick up that blade, it's hard to put down. Metal Gear Rising isn't just a game. It's a full-throttle robo-ninja roller coaster you didn't know you needed.
Wipe the slate clean. Burn it down! And from the ashes, a new America will be born!
Dying Light is basically the love child of Mirror's Edge and 28 Days Later. Zombie parkour in a post-apocalyptic playground where free-running isn't just cool, it's your basic survival. You're slashing, dodging, and vaulting over hordes like an action movie stunt double on adrenaline. To be honest, it's a no-brainer to skip this game, even the popularity is immense. So yeah, if you are not accustomed to this genre, then you could skip playing Dying Light, but hey, if you're a fan of open world and zombie games, then I'm sure as hell Dying Light is going to be a masterpiece for you. For me, the best thing is the parkour or free running. I'm a huge sucker for parkour, so this was a pretty nice addition for me. I don't want to go into too much detail here, but in terms of visuals, weapons, combat, mechanics, and everything else, you're totally set. So, jump in and have the best time of your life slashing zombies. Stellar Blade feels like Bayonetta's cooler younger sibling showing off at the family reunion. With its flashy attacks and lightning-fast hack-and-slash combat, it's basically a dopamine hit for anyone who loves smashing buttons with style. The gameplay's so smooth, it's like butter on a hot pan, and I'm honestly obsessed. Throughout the game, you're wandering into a variety of areas, and each of them is packed with different kinds of enemies and boss battles. It's all Bayonetta, but in an open-world environment and slightly more hack-and-slash. The game's main character is one of the prime highlights, because even before the release, some players were obsessed with how good she looks. And it's a good thing because devs are bringing back the OG steamy character stuff. Moving on, the soundtrack is another banger thing, and not just because of how awesome it is, but because it mixes up with the combat so perfectly. Elden Ring is basically the modern-day daddy of Souls games. It rolled in like the cool new kid at school and brought a whole crowd of newbies into the genre. If you thought Get Good was just a meme, this game will put that advice to the ultimate test. The game is literally known for its intense difficulty, but the major flaw is that unlike other games such as Bloodborne and Sekiro in Elden Ring, you can level up, acquire new gear, and get better. This is the only downside for players who want to experience the sheer difficulty of the game, because anyone can just level up or acquire some fancy gear. However, not all hope is lost, as the game still focuses on learning stuff and gaining skills, because in some boss battles, you need more than just some high-ranking armor or weapon. So yeah, in short, skill matters here. Moving on, graphics and visuals aren't something that needs a lot of focus, because we all know that the game doesn't lack in that aspect. And don't even get me started on the new DLC. All in all, Elden Ring is a fantastic game for anyone who's looking to spend hundreds of hours exploring the open world. Until Dawn is quite different from all the other games on this list. Here, it's all about the choices you make. It's classic cabin horror story put in a video game style, but there are a lot of twists and turns. Anyways, the general idea of the game is that you as a player take control of multiple characters, and the goal is to survive the night, basically until dawn. However, the interesting thing is that there are a lot of supernatural, horror, and monsters present to keep things exciting. Throughout your adventure, you will make a number of choices, and each of them is highly important because your one simple choice can sometimes decide who's going to die next. In my opinion, Until Dawn is a decent game to dive into. It's a bit different than other horror games. Here you feel continuously invested into the game, trying to solve all the mysteries and just staying alive until dawn. In short, if you're in the mood for something engaging, choice-based with a touch of horror, then this game is your best pick.
Don't want to make hasty decisions that get everyone killed.
Last of Us Remake is yet another amazing game that you must play. In fact, in 2025, it's almost a no-brainer not to play this game. By now, you should have already played this engaging story of Joel and Ellie. Last of Us is not just a game, it's an emotion. What starts as a simple job quickly turns into something more bizarre and full of both human enemies and monsters. You're not just surviving from the monsters, but rather sneaking and killing humans because they too are looking to have a piece of you in this rotten post-apocalyptic world. Speaking of the basic aspects, the game absolutely nails the visuals and graphics. You explore a variety of areas and are not just limited to some random building or ruins. The mechanics works extremely well. After all, this is a remake, so everything has to work out smoothly and efficiently. Finally, the storyline and the combat. The fighting is at its finest. Crafting seems like a major survival element, while stealth is a bit optional, and you are always free to engage in open combat with guns, explosives, arrows, and Molotovs. The storyline is something we don't need to cover because every player knows how amazing Last of Us storyline really is. Days Gone is like hopping on your trusty bike and riding headfirst into a zombie-filled open world where every corner screams post-apocalyptic chaos. Think Mad Max meets The Walking Dead, but with a killer soundtrack that slaps harder than a biker bar playlist. The hordes are absolute nightmares, like getting a swarm of mosquitoes on a summer night, but these bugs bite back with teeth. And the open world is literally filled with these zombies. It's always a good thing to squash some of them while riding your bike at full speed. Speaking of the bike, customizing it feels as satisfying as pimping out a muscle car in a Fast and Furious movie. For me, the best feature of the game is the bike, because who would have thought that having an impressive bike in a zombie-filled world would look this badass? I just think that if we ditch the traditional aspect of playing as a miserable player in a zombie apocalypse, then this whole bike thing is a pure charm, because the moment you hop on your bike and ride through the world, the entire perspective changes. Now, you're this cool badass dude. Another worthy feature to talk about is the storyline and the characters. It feels totally lifelike as how Days Gone manages to make you feel like you're progressing by introducing new characters, settlements, or missions. You're also solving your own problems and mysteries revolving around your wife in this apocalypse. Ghost of Tsushima is one of the finest games I have ever played that nails the balance between open world and samurai story or combat. This is literally a dream come true for samurai fans. I don't know how the developers managed to create everything so perfectly. And I'm not exaggerating the game, Tsushima really is a great game, especially for fans who love open world adventures with samurai elements. The open world is so stunning, you'll find yourself parking your horse just to watch leaves blow in the wind like you're in a samurai perfume ad. There are so many different areas to explore, areas to liberate, collectibles, outposts, and literally so much more. Plus, there's also an expansion DLC that provides a whole new island and storyline. Speaking of side missions, they are more like short films. I got emotionally invested in a farmer's revenge arc and forgot I was supposed to liberate a castle. Most of the side quests feels like actual small missions, which sort of compels you to take a break from the original storyline and dive into some of these short missions. Before I reveal my final pick, here are some bonus games. Dragon's Dogma, Far Cry 3, Devil May Cry 5,
By the way, how'd it feel catching up with your kid?
There's no need for us to catch up.
Well, with an attitude like that, you're never gonna meet your grandkids.
That's enough.
Sekiro, Red Dead 2,
Hey, mister. Hey, partner. How you do? Hi there, mister. Oh, hey.
Hogwarts Legacy is basically the Harry Potter fan's dream come true. It's like getting your own Marauders map, but way cooler and way more detailed. From roaming the castle halls like a sneaky Slytherin to mastering spells that make you feel like the Chosen One, the freedom is pure magic. Combat feels like a wizard's duel straight out of the movies, and exploring hidden rooms and secret passageways keeps you hooked. I think the game perfectly depicts the magic of Hogwarts. Before this, we never had the chance to play something this level of Hogwarts experience. I truly am glad that devs made something like this for the fans. Sure, the game does have some issues, but the sheer chance of playing a replica of Hogwarts is the best thing. As a player, you experience all sorts of things, whether it's the duels, combat, exploring secrets, attending classes, exploring the world outside the school, fun activities, and even riding magical beasts. Hogwarts Legacy has it all, and if you are a true Harry Potter fan, then you should definitely play this one. Alright, this concludes our list of some of the prime 20 single-player games that you will be obsessed with after the first hour. These games hold something special, and each of them has something different that makes it unique. Regardless of what genre is your favorite, you're absolutely gonna love playing these finest adventures.